potentially 3 individuals that were shot. Our officers responded and immediately found 3 victims. All 3 were transported to the hospital. The injuries do not appear to be life-threatening, and this does appear to be an isolated incident. We believe that the incident began after an altercation inside of the mall, and at this time we are still looking for the suspect or suspects, but we do not believe that there's any further threat to anyone in our community at this time. As I said earlier, it is an isolated incident from what we've gathered, and the injuries are not life-threatening.
Can you tell us where in the mall this happened?
We don't have the exact location. Our officers are still going through and processing the crime scene, but as soon as we have that information, we can provide that.
You mentioned this was an altercation. Did this involve juveniles, adults?
Unfortunately, we don't have that information either. We're still going through the evidence, and we'll provide that as soon as we can as well.
Do you know if the individuals who were shot were any of them, any of the suspects, or are they all victims that happened to be there? Were they targeted?
So, like I said earlier, we believe it's an isolated incident. We don't believe that it was any kind of targeted shooting, but we don't know the role of every single victim at this point, and we don't know the role of anyone else who might have been involved during the initial altercation.
What is the scene right now inside the mall? What is Metro Police doing? What we've been told, the entire mall went on lockdown.
Sure, so as normal protocol, just to ensure safety for everyone, we generally lock the area and make sure that there's no further threats. Our officers did that just in partnership with our medical personnel, and we determined that there were no further threats. We are, as a precaution, still clearing the rest of the mall, which is should be completed momentarily. And we are partnered, obviously, with the businesses in there, and we should have that clear and open very quickly. I will say, in terms of the scene on the outside, we have very limited traffic closures at this point, but even that, we are moments away from opening everything up and returning everything back to normal.
We were told that there may have been a suspect inside the parking garage. Can you confirm that at all?
Unfortunately, I don't have that information. As of now, we're confident that there's no suspect in the immediate vicinity, that we've searched, but we are still conducting the investigation. And at this time, I think it's important for the viewers just to understand that we believe this is an isolated incident. The area across the nearby area appears to be safe, and we'll be opening the business as soon as possible.
Were these individuals who were shot, were they part of the fight, or do you know what led to those specific people getting shot?
No, unfortunately, we're still investigating it and determining exactly what happened.
And there's still people who are in the mall who are trying to exit, or have?
No, all of our citizens, we believe, have exited, and we've opened the mall up for the most part. We have some employees that we're working on getting home, but other than that, the area should be clear momentarily.
Is the mall then open for the rest of the night?
That will be the decision for the business to determine whether they'll open. I believe they're close to their closing time anyways, but ultimately that'll be a decision to determine. They'll decide whether they close for the last hour or not.
And what about as far as, is there any area that drivers need to be aware of that's blocked off?
Good question. So we blocked off the initial westbound Spring Mountain area, as well as some of the area behind the mall, and some of the on and off ramps from the I-15 to Spring Mountain. The I-15 should be open already, and ultimately the rest of that traffic will be open, like I said, momentarily.
Do you know if the suspect went by foot or got away in a car?
We do not know at this time.
So do we believe this suspect, or you said suspect or suspects, we don't know how many there were at this time?
Generally, with incidents like this, we don't want to make any kind of declaration on how many suspects until we do the investigation and determine it with some certainty. So as of now, we believe it may have been one shooter, but we're not certain. So
do you know if it's a male or female?
We do not know at this time.
Do you know what store it started in?
No, we know that it happened inside of the mall, but we're still trying to determine exactly where the actual primary crime scene was. And as soon as we have that information, we can provide that.
When you say initial crime scene, are you talking about the fight that led to the shooting or the actual shooting?
Both. We believe that the shooting happened somewhere near where the fight happened.
Can you give us like an area of the mall, like east side, west side?
Unfortunately, just because generally with these types of crime scenes, people tend to move around pretty quickly, so we're trying to figure out exactly where that is before we give you any kind of wrong information. But as of now, there's no indication that a large portion of the mall was negatively affected. It seems like it was an isolated incident that happened between certain individuals.
We're being told that it initially started near Dillard's and then spilled out into the middle of the mall. Can you confirm or deny that?
Unfortunately, I cannot, not at this time.
How much longer will Metro be out here?
So we will be out here for a little while completing our investigation, but that should not affect any kind of the businesses nearby. We might have a little bit of the smaller roads nearby closed off for a little while longer, but ultimately the mall will be cleared and the business will decide whether it wants to open for the remaining business hours, and then the rest of the area nearby the mall has been open to include the rest of Las Vegas Boulevard and any of the nearby businesses.
What do you say to our community? We've dealt with a mass shooting, now we have a shooting inside the mall. It's very scary, I know, for many people. So what do you say to our community to try and make them feel safer tonight?
What I would say is we have an unbelievable police force and first responder community. Everyone from our police to fire to the business partners that we work with, whether it's the Fashion Show Mall or any of the other business partners that we work with along the Strip. We have an unbelievable community that knows how to respond to these incidents, deal with them as quickly as possible, and limit the damage. And hopefully this evening we've done just that. And I can assure you that, as Sheriff Lombardo has talked about, we believe in relentless follow-up, so we will ensure that every single detail is looked upon and that we investigate this to ensure that does not happen again.
As far as crews out here, who do you have other police departments assisting Metro, or who is out here as far as assisting in this investigation and this scene?
So I'm not sure of all of the other agencies that are involved. I do know that Nevada Highway Patrol is assisting us with some of the traffic control. And then of course our partners from the fire department as well as our business community partners are assisting us as well.
Do you know what hospital they were transported to?
I do not know at this time. A lot of the MACTAC principles that we have when we respond to any type of major incident are used commonly. So it's a fair assumption that we used a lot of our same practices that we normally would, but it was not considered a MACTAC activation as in an active shooter. Very important for the community to know this was not an active shooter. It was an isolated incident involving very certain individuals, and ultimately the scene currently is stable and everything is safe for our community.
Do we know if these people were possibly tourists or people in our community who live here?
Unfortunately, I don't know that this time. The investigation just began, but we'll have details soon, and we'll provide everything we can to you and the community as soon as possible.
What charges might the shooter or shooters face?
That also has to be determined once the investigation moves along. But I really appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll give you some more information once we have it. Thank you.
Can we anticipate
As of now, no, because we are getting ready to open up everything and move on. So from the scene being dynamic to it being static. So at this point, it probably won't be at this point.
Do you know how many gun casings were recovered or anything like that?
I do not, sorry. Thank you, folks. Appreciate
Your
it.
name one more time.
Dory, D-O-R-I, and Corin, K-O-R-C-N.
Just gonna grab this off you. Just,
Captain.
Captain, D-O-R-I.
You said it is Lieutenant.
It's Captain.
Captain.
D-O-R-I, I'm sorry.
D-O-R-I,
Uh-huh.
K-O-R-E-N, and just the captain for Convention Center Area Command.
Okay.
So,
And then,
unfortunately, they just print up. They're still printing them for me, so I'll have them soon.
oh, do we know how many gunshots were fired?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry if someone already asked and came in late, but is there any indication that